If you guys are anything like me, you just recently picked up your A7 III, you're excited to get out there in the world and shoot with the camera, but you don't know which picture profile is the best on the camera or which one you should be using. You guys were just in the exact same boat I was about 2 weeks ago. I used to use the Sony A7III a couple months ago, then I went to the GH5 and now I'm back on Sony. And back when I used to use the Sony A7III, the picture profile that I used the majority of the time was S-Log2. Back then, I had this philosophy and I was so narrow-minded on the fact that you want to shoot as flat as possible because you don't know what you want to do in post, and you might want to manipulate these colors and you might want to change these tones and blah, 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 and yada, yada. I don't really think like that anymore. For the most part, when I'm shooting nowadays, I try to already have a color grade in mind that I'm going to be doing. I try to already have in mind what I'm going to be doing with the tones. And this right here put me in the mindset of get as much right in camera, then when I get to the color grading process, it'll be a lot easier on my life. So in that sense, I knew for a fact when I got the A7 III, I wasn't gonna be wanting to do a lot of log grading. I knew I wasn't gonna be wanting to do a lot of log shooting. Now I do revert back to that profile every now and then when it's an extreme situation where it's a lot of light and it's a lot of shadows and I just wanna retain every single tone throughout that. But for the most part, I don't really use a lot of log, and this is why. I know I don't want to do a lot of manipulating in post. So with log out of the way, I went through the process of trying a couple other profiles, one of which being the Cine 4 profile. Now Cine 4 is actually a really solid profile. In the sense that it already does a lot of the contrast and saturation in camera, the image straight out of the camera using Cine 4 looks actually really good. So I used Cine 4 throughout a couple videos, but I was just noticing in the color grading process, I was losing a lot of the highlights. The highlight roll off just wasn't smooth, it just didn't look very flattering throughout my grade. So I kind of tried to ditch Cine 4. Now it's a bunch of different settings in the Sony picture profiles that you can set up exactly how you like them, but it's kind of just a headache to adjust something and then try shooting it for a shoot and then realizing you hate it and yada yada. But I eventually got to a profile in which I feel may potentially be the best profile within the Sony A7 III, and that's hybrid log gamma, HLG. Now one thing that I've noticed about the HLG profile, just using it over a couple different shoots, is the colors are actually really similar to Cine 4, but the roll off on the highlights tends to be a lot smoother and a lot more pleasing. You still get really nice color straight out of the camera's still doing the majority of the saturation of the image and the contrast, but the highlight roll off is just a little bit smoother and the shadows are just a little bit more lifted, so when you get into the post you can add in those contrasty dramatic grades if that's something that you're going for. Now when it comes to shooting HLG, how should you be exposing an image? I've tried the method of overexposing by an entire stop. I've also tried the method of overexposing by half a stop. But the method that I feel works the best for the majority of the shots that I'm getting is just exposing it right in the middle, like right on zero. When exposing the HLG footage right in the middle on zero, I find that the footage doesn't have a lot of noticeable noise in it. One really huge benefit of using the HLG profile is it doesn't have a high minimum ISO value. I believe when using S-Log2 on the Sony A7 III, the minimum ISO that you can use S-Log2 at is 800, which is kind of high, and if you don't have ND filters on hand, you're gonna be overexposed the majority of the time, or you're not gonna be able to shoot at really low f-stops. There it is. My favorite picture profile on the Sony A7 III is hybrid log gamma. One tip that's gonna help you guys tremendously expose your image right when using the HLG profile within the Sony A7 III is, if you guys go into the menu, head up to your setups tab, go to the first page and you scroll down, you guys are gonna see Gamma Assist. Now basically what Gamma Assist is, it allows you to see a Rec 709 preview of how the footage would look while filming in that profile. And it's actually other profiles within this menu as well, not only HLG, you have a preview for S-Log2, S-Log3. So if you guys head over to Gamma Assist, you're gonna get a Rec 709 preview, which is basically a little bit of contrast added to the footage, a little bit of saturation added to the footage. It's almost like a standard look. Shoot with the preview always on. I always use the preview. It gives me a better eye of how my footage will potentially look after color graded in post. So there it is. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to drop those down in the comments. If this video helped you at all, make sure to drop it a like, comment, also subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Peace out.